Hey folks, Mike Perlak here to entertain you with the help of Jim Nabors.
Dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable force.
You remember old Jim? Some of you might know him as Gomer Pyle. Golly! I never knew he could sing like that till recently. Alright, this is going to be a video basically of apology and reflection primarily. Sorry I haven't posted in a while. You ever think, flunk you, winner? I mean, I bet there are more anonymous homicides in the summer and more domestic ones in the winter. All right, well, right off the bat, I just wanted to address something. I kind of wish I would have addressed it sooner, but I'm going to address it now. If you don't want to know stuff about me, don't watch. um, I I don't want to like discourage anybody from watching my channel, but I understand, to know somebody, to really know a person is dangerous. I mean, it forces one to engage in a more self-reflective outlook of the world around them. If anything I say on this platform makes anyone look at themselves honestly, quite frankly, I don't know if I should be flattered or downright terror, terrified. Probably why humans drink, smoke, eat or drink in excess, use narcotics or narcotics, either legal or illegal. The very concept of self-reflection is frightening to them. And I'm not putting myself up on a pedestal. I think the trick for anyone is to find a healthy outlet. For me, I no longer am able to derive contentment in the consumption of food. So it was biking with the changing weather. Sometimes the conditions, black ice and stuff, makes that a little bit difficult. But so I've been actually trading bike riding for jogging, even if I jog in snow boots in the grass, just to make it more of a hike. But I have an inside exercise bike, but it's not the same. The things I talk about on this platform and will continue to talk about in regards to female nature, or what I perceive to be female nature based on my own experience and observation of the world around me, doesn't necessarily reflect to all females. I guess I thought in emphasizing the awesome relationship I have with my mother, I was covering bases by doing that, but perhaps I need to be more clear. This is, at least in part, an apology video specifically to somebody that I'm happy to say I did get the chance to apologize in person to. The person will go name will go unmentioned on this platform, but for all sake of purpose, I still felt the need to extend the apology on this platform for any female minorities that my words may have offended. The things I say really pertain more to the privileged few, really. The ones, college degree holding people who were given all only to feel entitled to more and more and more and more. I'm not impressed with a female with a college degree just because they have one. I say good for you. Good, bless you that life gave you that opportunity. That does not grant you the level of entitlement that you think you are entitled to. That's all I'm saying. Boomers are a good example of what I'm saying. These people were given everything, every advantage, and they squandered it for self. Prior generations sacrificed all for boomers, and boomers took it all with no appreciation. Now, again, I'm not saying all boomers. I personally can think of one or two boomers to which hadn't been for their assistance, and I wouldn't be where I'm at now. I might be homeless had it not been for these people who are by definition boomers. So again, I'm not talking about all boomers. I'm talking about majority, not the minority. I mean, you ask these, like, there was something I saw. It was something pertaining to this, where the guy a lot of these jobs that these boomers get was, what do you do for a living? Yes, what do you do for a living? They're like, oh, I'm in the consultant game. I'm a consultant. Like, okay, what is that? What do you do? And then they get all condescending, like, oh, well, this person wants to do this, and that person wants to do that, and I sort of get them together and sort of consummate the deal. So you're a pointless middleman? Two-part question. What do you make annually, and how does the system justify it? I would hope in today's world there's some sort of evolved process for the position of a consultant that involves more responsibility than just that. I'm not going to alter my opinion or viewpoint for any political power, feminist or otherwise, but I'm still because this is a public platform, I'm still going to thrive for etiquette and for etiquettes and civility. I do feel sorry for a lot of young girls coming up in Western society. Feminism promised all and delivered nothing. At least nothing that truly mattered. I'm scripting a future video. It's going to be entitled Bureaucratic Sex, Another Gift from the Feminist Agenda. The worst thing in life is to have to be reliant on another human being. I think that's true for anyone, male or female. My own mother agrees with me on that point. I also can't change my viewpoint because I know what I know. My father is the poster child for a male feminist. The man cannot do anything for himself. The man cannot think for himself. And I pinpointed to his feminist upbringing. And I'm supposed to I'm supposed to respect him without question because somebody said that it says so in some 200-year-old book. There's something wrong there. For me, in childhood, school was my only mental and emotional solace from my male feminist father's idiosyncrasy. This was the 1980s. He had to get his ear pierced because that was the thing. You got to get your ear pierced. Or I forget what the rules are because I honestly had no desire to get my ears pierced then or now. But apparently it was, if you were a guy, you were allowed to get the right one pierced, and that was okay. But if you got the left one pierced, you were, quote, gay. What? I never gave that much thought because, again, I never had the desire to get my ear pierced. But my father did. He got his ears pierced. And for the 6 years that I lived in prison under his authority, guess who was responsible for putting it in and taking it out at night? Because that was too much of a project for the boy. Yours truly. That was one of my jobs. And now that I've established mono tune, which is basically the audio version of mono video tune, where I'll be sharing audio tracks. I've been going through some of these tapes, and some of the tapes, the quality is so bad, but because I lived it, it's my life, I do remember. In the early 90s, I got this recording where my father had stopped by the house for the first time. This is the first time I had seen him in years since his incarceration. And in the tape, he's going on, the government stole $300 million from me. Now in the tape, my reaction as his upbringing, adolescence is, oh wow, which actually was a typical reaction to many of the things that the boy has said to me over the years. Oh, wow. But when I hear it now, I think to myself, what the flunk did you ever do in life to legitimately earn $300 million? Oh, okay, now I remember. You're here. You chose to grace this world with your all-knowing, all-powerful presence. When I see him next time, I'll have to ask, you ever recover that 300 mil he told me the government stole from you in the early 1990s when I was a kid? If I do that, it'll just be for my own personal amusement, because the point would be moot now. Most reaction I might get out of the guy is that blank stare I often get from him now. Like, when you think about it, those are some pretty serious accusations. I mean, I got to ask them, was there ever an investigation into that? I mean, after all, somebody had to take it seriously. After all, with your reputation as a innocent, fun-loving, likable guy, as you always claim to be. But because of the 6 years of emotional and psychological prison that I lived under this man's authority, unfortunately for me, I know how his brain works. In his mind, he figured that he's going to sue everybody. That's where he got the, I'm going to sue. He has no concept of personal guilt. That, maybe it was me. Especially back then. Maybe something's different now. I don't know, but yeah, I'm going to sue everybody. I figured out how he came up with 300 mil. I'm going to sue them all. I'll get 1 million from the police officer who had the gall to put those handcuffs on me and hurt my widow Whisk. He hurt my widow Whisk. I'm going to get 100 million from him, and that biatch secretary who had the gall to verbally put me in my place while I waited for lockdown. And the PO, over the years, he's always talking about that biatch PO of his. Yeah, because of her. He goes, she had the gall. She had the gall, I tell you, the gall to take the day off work to celebrate with her and her husband their firstborn child's birthday party. She had the gall to take the day off, and because of that, I had to sit in jail longer. I'm going to sue her. There's your third $100 million. He's going to sue all those people. That's how he can figure. In his mind, that's how he figured the government owes him $300 million. But because of his inability to process the concept of personal guilt, in his mind, he's probably thinking, I know I'll win the case. I know I'll win my case because the judge will take one look at my innocent, pure face and say, give this little boy his $300 million. Court adjourned. Yep, I had to listen to that all for most of my life. What they did to me, they're all going to pay for what they did to me. If my mother were alive, she would have made them pay for it all. All right. ADD. Sorry, I'm getting off track. So yes, I do feel a sense of responsibility to express an apology. Like the person I was able to apologize to directly, which I definitely felt much better about that. But I didn't feel that that let me off the hook to making some sort of effort to apologize to any minority good girls out there that I may have offended. My comments weren't directed at you personally, and I honest to God, thank the person for calling me out on this. And just to say that Michael Paralak acknowledges, that there are a minority good girls out there who just want to do right by their children and the male that they have the children with, only to have that male, to possibly no fault of their own, not be a real man where it mattered and counted the most. Especially because of the extreme nature of the subject matter that I talk about on this platform time to time, not counting the sheer entertainment stuff. But from here forward, I will make it a point to emphasize what I say does not apply to all females. Like I said earlier, I thought by emphasizing the awesome relationship I have with my biological mother, I thought I was covering my bases by doing that, but perhaps I need to be more clear in the future. So another reason why I am honestly grateful for the person that called me out on this, whom I did apologize directly in real life to, because I really want to try to avoid virtue signaling on my channel. Despite everything, I want to avoid virtue signaling. Feminists do it all the time. For the sake of clarity and, not having anything go unclear, virtual signaling in layman's term basically means giving your opinion on a public setting or format or platform like this, for the sole purpose of making yourself look innocent, righteous, or even to attempt to gain sympathy from a person or persons for a short-term goal. That's exactly what I want to avoid. Anybody watching this, if I do that, please call me out on it. After all, I am human. The only thing I would ask is don't give me any call me out and then say, because I think or say so. Back it up with facts that show where I am wrong. Proof positive where I am wrong in something that I said. That's all I ask. Yep. Virtual signaling. Feminists do it all the time. This is why the Me Too movement is running amok. And there are legitimate victims in this world, and the Me Too movement is just making it that much harder for those people. There may be those who do, but I do not view human suffrage as a competitive sport. We all have our cross to bear, the way I see it. When I said in those past videos about the female brain not doing good with accountability, I still say it's the majority. From what my personal experience and what I've observed in this world, I say it's still majority that somehow are able to. Maybe this is why that the females can rationalize single emotional moments in time without any thought for the future. If I'm completely honest, I sometimes wish I could do that. I wish I could just act and then worry about how it's going to affect my life or the lives of the people around me later on. I wish I could do that. But then I think of, STDs. Kind of puts a damper on the whole thing. I think when the Wilson Phillips sung that song Impulsive, it had a more innocent vibe. Or maybe I just see it that way because I was a child the first time I heard that song. I would say the problem with male-female pair bonding dynamics is there are more bad girls who use good boys as nothing more than, and I hate to use this term, but as emotional tampons. There are too many bad girls that use good boys as nothing more than that in their life. And but also there are more bad boys who do not take fatherhood seriously, leaving many good girls lost. And in turn, there's not enough good boys and girls who know how to be constructively bad for, if nothing else, the aim of bettering society, social progress. But as I've already mentioned in prior videos, I've made my peace with the Almighty as far as just being on my own. Perhaps it's my own fault too. I would acknowledge that. Maybe I just don't have any of the traits that these self-proclaimed angelic creatures are looking for. Okay. Sometimes I think of, I look at my options and I think, yeah, okay, the feeling's mutual. I've come to accept the reality that is my life. Do not ask me to live in your Disney fantasy world. That's all I ask. I've learned not to expect a whole lot from my fellow human beings, male or female. For the longest time in my life, I've walked around with a constant, until recently, a constant feeling of guilt within myself for my inability to love a female who has no interest in being the mother of my children. For years, I felt a sense. I would think to myself, Jesus, Mike, you're supposed to love unconditionally with no conditions whatsoever. But now that I know, especially now that I know more about female nature, I know that women do not love that way. So I, as a man, do not have to love that way. Only the love of a supreme being can truly be that unconditional. So at this point, I think the only thing to do is to level with you, the audience, in the form of a prayer of thanks to the Almighty. I acknowledge that I could play the blame game like the feminists do. Modern feminism had made the blame game a pretty big part of modern psychology. Boy, what an accomplishment. What a gift for the world. It's really going to help the human race progress forward. I could do that. I could play the blame game and blame my naivety, my willingness to play the victim. But in truth, I let myself become involved with some low-quality females. Never again. Promise to myself and, more importantly, to the Almighty. Especially when I think about how nothing life-altering came out of those experiences. Recently, I paid for a thorough blood test, and not only did I come back with a clean bill of health, but the doctor even told me my liver was 100%, which I found interesting because I have psoriasis, which is a hereditary disease, and I was told all my life that it was because I had a bad liver, or specifically, the doctor said, overactive liver. A modern doctor would say, well, your liver thinks something is wrong, so in its defense, it results in overcompensating, resulting in overgrown skin that scales. But now that the problem is almost non-existent, I'm more selective about what I put in my body the last decade of my life. I credit that. So I'm thinking, maybe my liver wasn't wrong. After all, it was God who made my liver. Maybe it was the doctor's hypothesis that was wrong. Wonder. Maybe. Let's see. Sorry. It started out as a prayer. I don't know. It's still a prayer. I don't know. All right, I'm going to end this one on a lighter note. With some more help from Jim Nabors, but this time I'm just going to sing it myself. Whether I'm right or whether I'm wrong, whether I find a place in this world or never belong, I gotta be me, I gotta be me. What else can I be except what I am? I'll go it alone, I will. If that's how it must be, I'll never be right for anyone else if I'm not right for me. I gotta be free, I gotta be free, and I gotta be me! Give me liberty or give me death! I got Patrick Henry channeling all through me! Ah!